When I came to the Joy House, I was living with my granddaddy because my mom and dad were separated, and I was tossed back and forth between both of them and having to move schools and everything. So I lived at my granddaddy's for a while, and that was the most stable place to me. And he was an alcoholic, and it was really hard having to deal with that and go to school and having to concentrate on all the things that a child that age is supposed to concentrate on. So one night I came home from a wrestling match, and he was drinking, and he wanted to know why I wasn't home at the exact time that he expected me to. Mind you, I had to get a ride from somebody because he was too drunk to come and pick me up. So when I got there, he wanted to know where I'd been and called me a liar and was sending me to my room without supper. And instead of going to my room, I just walked on out the door. And of course, at 12 years old, you can't just walk out the door and walk down the road without somebody getting a little concerned. So Mama got wind of it, and she called the law. And that's what landed me at the Joy House.
When she first came there, she didn't really want to be there. And we did a lot of PT, a lot of physical training. We did a lot of biblical reading, and we did a lot of playing cards.
She didn't want to be there, and she didn't really want to do what we were asking her to do. But over all of that, she didn't express that verbally. She would just hit the door. She'd hit that door and she was leaving. She was going to leave. And so that was her way of doing things. She really didn't act out on it or curse us or come back verbally, but she just would tell you that she was just not going to do it, and she'd just walk out the door.
When I came to the Joy House, I was angry. It felt like nothing but punishment. It felt like I was in jail. I had all these rules. Back then it was the old building, and you lived in a hallway with these doors that had alarms, and it was just terrible. And you had to memorize these long scriptures that were like 100 verses, and you're like, what is the point? I can't never do this. But it was those little things that really made a difference. I mean, remembering those scriptures, even in that, planted seeds that have helped me along the way.
When Jessica first came in, she was angry, and now I can see, that as a mother and a wife, the seeds that we had planted at the Joy House has flourished, and that she really loves the Lord, and that brings us joy. Because that seed, we got to see that grow.
We had the greatest house parents, Mama Mary and Papa Ricky. They really dedicated their life to spending time with us. And really being a mom and daddy to us that we never really had, some of us. Some of us there did have good parents and just had defiant children, but some of us had parents that didn't know how to be parents. And Ricky and Mary, they really set aside their whole life to just be there and show us a different way.
When Jessica came to us in 2003, as she got in the program, the thing we came to realize was very unstable family. She had bounced around. She didn't have a stable place to be. Her mom and dad were separated, wasn't able to be in either home for any length of time, wound up with her grandfather who that wasn't the best situation. So just lots of instability for her, not able to get any roots or have any real good sense of direction from the adults in her life.
New Beginnings was a 12-month program, 12 months to graduate, but I decided to stay 22 months. And along the way on that program, being at the Joy House actually made that program a lot easier for me personally. Some people, that was the first program or anything like that they have ever experienced. But for me, the things that I had learned and experienced at the Joy House really helped me. And being that I really had a sincere desire to change and a sincere desire to have a heart after God, that really helped me.
she actually went to an addiction recovery place for women that was Christian based, and that's where she really kind of came back to the Lord and turned things around. And I'll never forget, she called me and she said, Mr. Steve said, I'm going to be down in Jasper, and so I'd love to see you. And I said, that'd be great, I'd love to see you. And we were actually working on our boys' home that Saturday, and I'll never forget, she drove up on the property and that door of that car opened, and she came out of that car kind of running towards me with her arms open, and we hugged each other. That was a special moment with her.
Now that I have a child, I know that I will definitely do things completely different in his life so that he never has to experience any of the heartaches and trials and tribulations that I had to experience as a child. He'll not be subjected to the things that he shouldn't be subjected to. And I take him to church, and I want him to know about Jesus, and I want him to have the seeds planted in his life that were planted in mine.
More than anything, I see the growth of God in her. And that's what we planted. We planted those seeds. And, for us to be able to see the Holy Spirit grow in somebody, it's amazing. And that's been my joy.
When I look at Jessica now, she's a fulfillment of my vision for the Joy House. We planted some seeds in her, and now I look at her, she's a successful mom. She's happily married, and what I know is she's going to raise her child and her children in a whole different way than she did. And that's the hope of the Joy House, is that we're going to impact generations, and I know her kids are going to grow up differently than she did.